Moments away from kickoff here at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The 2-7 Bills against the 3-6 Jets. We've got a former Bill in the booth, James Lofton, but we also, to keep it fair, have a former Jet down on the sideline. That's Jay Feely.
Thanks, Andrew. Jets head coach Todd Bowles and GM Mike Maccagnan both signed contract extensions last year through 2020, but the heat is on here in New York. They have to find a way to get this team going. Sam Darnold, their quarterback, seemingly regressing, which was Christopher Johnson, chairman of the Jets, said they were going to judge these men on how they progressed with their players. It's the perfect time for Sam Darnold to take a seat on the bench, to watch Josh McCown run this offense, and for Todd Bowles, hopefully his veteran quarterback can come in and get him a desperately needed win.
No doubt about that. Well said, Jay Feely. As you take a look at the weather conditions, 45 degrees, wind not too bad. Right now, 5 to 10 miles per hour. The Jets won the toss, and they have elected to defer. So Sean McDermott and the Bills will get the football first. Sean McDermott told us last night that throughout the week, he really did not know he put out there at quarterback. He said Josh Allen had a very good practice on Wednesday, but with the bye coming up, they want to be careful with their first-round pick. And he just said that with Nathan Peterman, he needed a break.
Right.
We know that the struggles of Peterman, who this season has thrown 1 touchdown and 7 interceptions. So he's going to go with Matt Barkley against a Todd Bowles defense that is playing very well. They only allowed 6 points in the loss to Miami last week. It was a pick 6 by Sam Darnold that was in the difference in that game.
Andrew, I think early on in this ball game, it'll be really interesting to see if the Buffalo Bills coaches who I talked to on the field were giving me the straight. They said that with Matt Barkley in the lineup, they're going to try and throw the ball down the field a little more than what they normally do. And some of that might be because short passes take actually more timing than throwing the ball down the field for those big chunk play action plays that you normally see.
Jason Myers will kick it away, and one of the newest members of the Bills, Isaiah McKenzie, is the deep man. He was claimed off waivers from Denver on Monday. A 5th-round pick by the Broncos last year out of Georgia. Well, neither one of these teams has had a lead in the last 3 games. Something's got to give today at the Meadowlands. Underway, week 10 of the NFL on CBS. It's a touchback for Myers. And out comes Matt Barkley, who was signed 12 days ago by the Bills. This is his first start since week 17 of the 2016 season when he was with the Chicago Bears, a 1-5 record as a starter. 4th different quarterback this year for the Buffalo Bills. As we mentioned before, Chris Ivory out today with a shoulder injury. It'll be just 2 running backs healthy for Buffalo. LaShawn McCoy and Marcus Murphy on first down. Barkley, deep shot. There it is, looking for Foster, and he's got it! Robert Foster with a big play. The first play of the game for the Bills goes for 48 yards.
Boy, the coaching staff, they were true to their word. Let's get the ball down the field. We're going to get a go pattern and get up the field. And what you want to do, you don't want to get too close to the boundary. He does a great job with his split to start right outside the numbers, and then it's just a foot race. We can see Robert Foster wins this foot race.
Tremaine Johnson, who missed the last 5 games with a quad injury, back in the lineup today, and he got beat on that 48-yard play. Robert Foster was called up off the practice squad yesterday. Play clock, they just get it off. And a handoff to McCoy with some room. McCoy inside the 10, 5, and he is in. Touchdown! 2 plays, 6 points for Buffalo. First touchdown of the season for LaShawn McCoy.
If you wanted to start the game off with your wildest dreams, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, say, okay, we're going to hit a deep pass to Robert Foster. Everyone would go, well, is Robert Foster on the team? And then we're going to give it to LaShawn McCoy, who's averaged 1 yard per carry over the last 3 ball games. In the end zone, 75 yards in the first 2 plays for the Buffalo Bills.
Last 3 games, McCoy gained 24 yards on the ground. That was a 28-yard touchdown and his longest run of the season. Here's Stephen Hauschka on for the extra point. And the kick is good. The Bills have their first lead since week 6 against Houston. And there's Robert Foster, the undrafted rookie out of Alabama. Sean McDermott told us last night we needed more speed in the lineup. That's why we called him up off the practice squad yesterday, and boy, did that pay off. And here's the touchdown run by McCoy.
The old Vince Lombardi, a seal here and a seal there, and you're going to get your runner who's going to run right in between that seal. I just missed it by a little bit. But it's so easy when they are committing to the line of scrimmage. They're trying to get after you in a run blitz. You find that gap. LeSean McCoy has always had great vision and that shiftiness to the little jump cut that he makes to the outside, because he's inside, jumps to the outside, then he's gone.
His first touchdown since week 15 last year against Miami. And obviously been a tough go this year for McCoy, who didn't talk to the media for almost 2 weeks. He finally broke his silence on Friday, meeting with some of the local reporters in Buffalo, and he said, yeah, I'm frustrated, and when I can see the clock at the end of my career, the urgency picks up.
Right.
Not happy with the 2-7 record. He wants to play for a Super Bowl ring, so it's been a tough season for a lot of Buffalo Bills, and McCoy, a season-long slump, but finally in the end zone. Andre Roberts back deep to receive the kickoff from Stephen Hauschka. Short kick, Roberts from the 9. And hit hard at the 25-yard line. That was Ryan Lewis making the play on special teams. So out comes Josh McCown, who makes his first start since December of last year. Good numbers last year, 13 starts, 18 touchdowns, a career high. 9 interceptions for McCown, who will play for the first time this year. And when you go back to the preseason, McCown only saw 19 snaps. Jets wanted to give Sam Darnold an extended look over the summer, as well as Teddy Bridgewater, who they ended up showcasing and then trading to the Saints.
Ready!
McCown, quick pass to Quincy Enunwa. Enunwa tackled at the 30-yard line. And the Jets do have a different starting lineup up front. Spencer Long, those issues at center, to say the least, against Miami last week. He is out today with the finger injury, so Jonathan Harrison makes his second start of the year at center. Also for the Jets, a big loss. Robbie Anderson not able to go today because of an ankle injury, and Enunwa, who's been battling an ankle injury, hobbles off. On second down, it's Eli McGuire, and not much doing there against this tough Buffalo defense. What happened to Quincy Enunwa here, James?
Yeah, on the first play of the game, you want to get the ball in his hands, get some momentum going, and when he gets up, you can see he puts that finger up, he's limping a little bit, and he's limping back out onto the field now. He was sidelined with an ankle injury, and that ankle injury looks like it might have reappeared.
See the Jets offensive inactives today without 3 starters, Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson, and Spencer Long. And now 3rd and 6. Jets 3rd worst on 3rd downs this year. McCown's pass deflected and incomplete. It was deflected by Jerry Hughes, and the Jets go 3 and out on their first offensive possession.
2 pass plays from Josh McCown at or around the line of scrimmage, trying to get this ball out of his hands quickly. Jerry Hughes, who the left tackle was not able to cut. You want to get the hands down. He's up. The offensive lineman is on the ground, but great job by Hughes elevating.
Jets lead the NFL. That's their 34th 3rd and out, 3 and out, I should say, this year, as McKenzie is back deep to receive the punt from Lachlan Edwards.
This is Bright's son that he's trying to catch the ball in.
McKenzie has got great speed from his own 21. And McKenzie tripped up at the 28-yard line. Bills off to a hot start in New Jersey. They lead at 7-0. There's Bills quarterback Josh Allen, inactive for the 4th straight game with the elbow injury. They have a bye next week. They're hopeful he can return after the bye against the Jaguars. So Matt Barkley Going back to the air on first down, looking deep again over the middle, incomplete. Off the hands of Zay Jones. How about that opening drive for the Bills, James?
They were going to take a shot. You brought in Robert Foster, who came into the game with 2 catches for 30 yards, and he catches this 47-yarder on first down, and then you get the home run hit by LaShawn McCoy for the touchdown. So 2 plays, 75 yards, their biggest pass play of the year, their second biggest run of the year.
Here's McCoy trying to kick it to the outside. McCoy with a flag down is shoved out of bounds by Darren Lee. Our referee today is Ron Torbert. Bills with a franchise record 163 yards in penalties last week in the loss at home to Chicago.
They're trying to pick the spot of the foul right now. Is the holding call.
Holding. Offense, number 10. 10-yard penalty. Replay second down.
It's on the former Jet, Terrell Pryor, now in his second game with the Bills.
One of the things that now becomes really interesting is what happens when you have to go to 2nd and 20. What's your game plan? That's not something that Matt Barkley's been associated with. He's been here. This is his second week. He wanted that script of plays that you start the game with. But now you go to your hole plays. You're in a hole. What do you do to get out of that hole? Can you get a first down in this down and distance situation?
Marcus Murphy now in at running back for Buffalo. And it is Murphy trying the left side. Leonard Williams the first to greet him. And it brings up 3rd down and long. For the Bills, a change up front. They are starting the rookie Wyatt Teller at left guard in place of the former Jet Vlad Ducasse. Teller, a 5th-round pick out of Virginia Tech. As you see, Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, was actually the Jets quarterback coach in 2007 and 2008. 3rd down and 14 for Matt Barkley. Barkley has time over the middle, and it's broken up. That was Marcus May closing quickly to get a hand on it, and out comes the punter, Colton Schmidt.
Barkley did about everything that you'd like him to do. Watch him. He starts with his vision here, and then he's going to come back and throw the ball over the middle. So he tries to look that safety off, but Marcus May realizes, I've got one job. Whoever comes in my area in the middle of the field, I'm going to disrupt that pass.
Second game of the season for Colton Schmidt. And Roberts, the deep man for the Jets. Roberts from the 30. And Roberts still going inside the 40 and finally taken down at the 43-yard line. It was the long snapper, Reed Ferguson, who made the tackle after a 14-yard return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart. Light up Christmas at Walmart. Corona Extra. Find your beach. And by Hyundai, official sponsor of the NFL.
Seven 0 Bills in front of the Jets. New York went 3 and out on its first possession. It's now 18 straight games without an opening drive touchdown for the Jets. Only Miami has a longer active streak. Second drive starts with McCown scrambling and hit hard from behind by Shaq Lawson. Although McCown was able to pick up 4 yards out of that play.
And one of the things that McCown did really well there, you don't have anything downfield. You're trying to take a shot. You have maxed up protection, 2 extra tight ends in blocking for you. Doesn't have it, but he pulls it down and he still gets a positive gain with his legs.
He had 5 rushing touchdowns last year, a career high with the Jets. Crowell not much doing on second down, and it brings up 3rd and short for New York.
You can feel a little bit of that uneasiness in the stadium with the Jet fans. 3 and out the first drive. Now you take the ball over close to midfield. Have a play on first down where the quarterback has to scramble, then you hand the ball off up the middle. Everybody goes Why are we running up the middle? Well, when you run up the middle and you gain 20, that's a great run. When you gain 0, you scratch your head about the play call.
It's 3rd down and 7 as Crowell did not get any on that last carry. McCown out of the shotgun, looking right, pressure coming, and McCown is sacked. Matt Milano made the initial hit. His teammates finish off McCown, and once again the Jets go 3 and out.
When you have an empty position, you get Milano here who has this guy in coverage. That's what you think. No, he's going to come and he's going to blitz right in the gap. You know, you kind of just outsmarted a guy who's been in the league for 16 years. So Leslie Frazier, he's been in the league a little bit longer than 16 years as defensive coordinator.
They're going to give that sack to Jordan Boyer, his first of the season. Here's Micah Hyde on the return for Buffalo. Hyde tackled at the 27-yard line. Buffalo defense has come to play. Milano, the initial hit. Boyer finishes off McCown. Moment ago, Josh McCown showing some frustration as McCown sitting with Davis Webb to his left, Sam Darnold on the far left there. The Jets quarterbacks huddled up as they've gone 3 and out on both of their possessions. 1st down and 10 for Buffalo. LaShawn McCoy on the carry. And McCoy tackled at the 30 by Avery Williamson after a gain of 4. Jets defense played very well last week. You see their lineup at the bottom of your screen. They held Miami to just 168 total yards, the fewest allowed in the Todd Bowles era.
There is a heightened awareness as to where number 33 is when they break the huddle. They are very aware of his presence around the line of scrimmage.
This is McKenzie. He's got great speed, and McKenzie has a Buffalo 1st down. Darren Lee on the tackle after Isaiah McKenzie gains 12.
Brian Daboll is doing a fantastic job so far, kind of stretching the defense in every direction. He stretches them deep with the vertical throw. Then he hit this corner with LaShawn McCoy run. That time a little misdirection, a little jet sweep type action. So he's thrown a lot of stuff into these starting 15 or 20 plays so far for Matt Barkley to have at his disposal.
As Matt Barkley told us, he did not have to learn the entire playbook. He had to learn the game plan on how to attack the Jets. Adams hits Barkley hard, and the pass is incomplete. And a flag comes in late on the coverage. Morris Claiborne was the defensive back for the Jets, and a flag thrown right in that area where he was covering Kelvin Benjamin.
I think Kelvin Benjamin did a good job, even though he was batting the ball away, trying to work back into the ball. I'm not sure if Claiborne had turned his head, but they may pick it up.
And it was Jamal Adams coming on a blitz, and he drilled Barkley as he threw it.
There was no foul in the play for defensive pass interference. It's an incomplete pass, 2nd down.
Like I said, you have to be aware of number 33 when he's up and around the line of scrimmage. He runs right through LaShawn McCoy, and then he barrels into Matt Barkley. And right here, Claiborne does have his head turned around, so I think that's why there's no defensive pass interference. They pick up the flag. Good non-call.
2nd down and 10. 8:09 to go in the opening quarter. McCoy up the middle across the 45 and tackled at the 47. NFL Today update back to New York with JB and Bill Cowher.
Baker cooking early.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is going to find Rashard Higgins from 28 yards out. Baker Mayfield in this game 7-7 for 98 yards as they take a 7-0 lead over Atlanta.
Andrew, Mr. Stanford, and Jay Feely.
All right, guys, a lot of the first-round quarterbacks involved. Mayfield there, Allen and Darnold here, neither one playing because of injury. 3rd down and 5 for the Bills. Barkley, touch pass for Pryor, incomplete. Buster Skrine had the coverage for the Jets, and it's 4th down.
You know, I was talking to a couple of members of the Jets coaching staff about Buster Skrine, because playing that slot role, normally you're playing against smaller guys, but they said he is so smart that he starts to make the break on the pattern almost before the receivers do. He studies a lot, and he's just always in tune to what's going on during the course of the game.
Did a good job last week against Danny Amendola. It's a fake. Logan Thomas, a former quarterback, completes it to Foster for the first down. Logan Thomas, drafted as a quarterback out of Virginia Tech, transitioned to tight end, and he uses those skills to convert a fake punt for Buffalo.
You know, he took that ball in the shotgun, and you're wondering, okay, he's looking at it. Now, he only has one read once he gets it. It's that read to throw to the guy who's your flyer on the outside, who did a nice move to fake inside and then run back outside. And you got to remember, Robert Foster, like I said, came into this game off of injured reserve where he had only 2 catches for 30 yards. He's been on the highlight reel so far.
Let's go.
We got another Bills quarterback. I thought we couldn't have any more than we already do. We got Logan Thomas now throwing passes as McCoy gets back to the line of scrimmage. That's just the second pass Logan Thomas has completed in his NFL career.
I think Foster may have dislocated his thumb. He's been pointing at it. He just jogged to the sideline, and he may need them to pop that back out.
Foster had the big catch on the first play of the game and also the catch on the fake punt. Second down and 10.
Alert!
Barkley gets rid of it, completes it to McCoy, gets away from Jenkins, and then McCoy hit down by Lee. Back to New York, another NFL Today update with JB and Bill Cowher.
Mariota continuing his hot play.
Yeah, the second touchdown pass of the day comes right here, 23 yards to Corey Davis, and they now take a 14-3 lead, Tennessee over New England.
Andrew, Hall of Famer from Stanford, and Jay Feely.
You go back to week 2, and Bill Belichick had trouble going against Matt Patricia, one of his former guys. So same thing happened with Vrabel down in Tennessee so far.
Third down and 5 for the Bills. Barkley to Jones, and St. Jones has a first down. Tossed out of bounds by Tremaine Johnson, but Matt Barkley has looked pretty good here in his first start in nearly 2 years.
You know, I went back and I looked at some of the tape from 2 years ago, and in those 6 games that he was a starter or played a lot in, he had 3 300-yard games. So maybe this is a surprise to everybody else, but not to Matt Barkley, because when he sat in our meeting, he appeared pretty confident.
And he had a good preseason with the Cincinnati Bengals. He suffered a knee injury late in the preseason. Bengals cut him, so he had been sitting out, but it's not like he's been out of football for these 2 years. He was in line to get the backup job in Cincinnati before the knee injury. As McCoy has some room on the outside, cuts it in at the 20, and LeSean McCoy looks rejuvenated here today.
They only have one backup running back. You mentioned Chris Ivory being out. Marcus Murphy is the backup. Marcus Murphy would normally return kickoffs. They took him off that duty so that he could be the backup running back and be ready to go in. He's now in the ballgame for LeSean McCoy.
Look at some of the key inactives on the Buffalo side today. Josh Allen, Chris Ivory, Charles Clay, and Trent Murphy defensively.
5-4.
Second down and 2. Here's Marcus Murphy, and he's got the first down. Now the Bills, this is just their 15th red zone drive of the season, tied for the fewest coming into the day with the Arizona Cardinals.
Once again, Matt Barkley looking at that play sheet that's on his wrist. He probably won't even raise his eyes once he's in the huddle. He's just sitting there reading it off, and it's in tiny print. It's not in like that big print that you get in the top of the headline of a newspaper, but it's the tiny print.
Barkley looking towards the end zone for Benjamin. Goes up, and it's incomplete. Benjamin could not hold on as he went to the ground. Claiborne had the coverage. Similar play last week against the Bears when Benjamin went up in the end zone and could not bring it in.
And when you're the big guy, he elevates exactly like he's supposed to. But Claiborne does a nice job in swatting at the ball. Benjamin has to tuck that ball into one arm and away from where Claiborne is. So if he's on his right, he should put it on his left. and get that ball away from Claiborne so that he can't punch it out.
It's Murphy running left. And Murphy met by Henry Anderson in his first year with the Jets. Going back to Matt Barkley's wristband, you were talking about it, James. He told us he has 3 flaps on it, and each flap has about 40 plays.
Right.
Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, tells Barkley in his ear a number. Barkley looks down. Okay, number 52, and he calls the play. That's how it's going to work today, with Barkley only being with the Bills for 12 days.
And I asked Barkley, I said, you know, normally when a receiver doesn't know what he's supposed to do, he asks the quarterback. If they ask you, do you know what they're supposed to do? He said, sure, I know.
3rd and 7, Zay Jones dives, lost the football. The Jets, and then we have no signal yet. Buffalo thinks it's a touchdown as Jason Kroom recovered it, and it is. Crazy play. Jones the catch, dives, lost the football, but Kroom is there to pick it up.
And remember, when you dive forward, as soon as a body part is touching the ground, you have essentially given yourself up. So every play is reviewable. To look at that, and if as he's diving forward to give himself up, if any body part touches the ground, then that fumble is negated and it's dead right at that spot.
As James said, all scoring plays subject to review, so this will be needed to be confirmed in a replay.
And you could see from our last replay there that he is above the ground when that ball comes out. The elbow's not down, the forearm isn't down, so that's a fumble, and being Johnny on the spot right there for Kroom is a great assignment.
The ball has not bounced the way of the Bills this year, but they might be getting a big break right here. Again, our official today is Ron Torbert, and it's been confirmed, a touchdown for Buffalo. The fumble recovery in the end zone by Jason Kroom, and now here's Stephen Hauschka for the extra point. What a start for the Buffalo Bills. And some boos here at the Meadowlands for the Jets as they fall behind 14-0. Barkley to Jones, the fumble, but scooped up by Kroom for 6.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. Try our game day menu. And by United States Air Force. Experience more at airforce.com.
Stunning start here at the Meadowlands for a Jets team in desperate need of a victory, especially their head coach Todd Bowles under fire. The team has lost 3 in a row, and now they fall behind 14-0 at home against the Bills. Let's go back to that touchdown, and for that we'll bring in our rules analyst Gene Steratore back in New York. And Gene, how about that little wacky play we just had?
A little unusual, worth noting on this play though, if that fumble would have occurred on 4th down or inside of 2 minutes of either half, then only the fumbler may recover his fumble in that situation. Because this is 3rd down, the fumble takes place at the 1-yard line, recovered beyond the spot of the fumble or the place of the fumble by a teammate in the end zone. That's why the ruling stayed as a touchdown.
All right, great point. Thank you very much, Gene Steratore's Eddie Yarbrough on a big tackle for the Bills, and more boos from the Jets fans. First 2 possessions, both 3 and out for New York.
And the second possession, which you started at your 44-yard line, that's an area of the field where you expect to get points. And not being able to move the ball, not being able to get points, it's frustrating not only the fans, but also some of the Jet players on the sideline.
Loss of 1 on the play, 2nd and 11. McCown to the air, and his pass is deflected up in the air and incomplete. Jordan Phillips got a hand on that one.
When you are in practice and you're throwing balls around, the defenders kind of let you have your way. But when you get in a real game, which McCown has not been in since last December, it's a little different. They're not going to give you the throws that you would get in your offensive period. You have to earn everything. So far, the Jets haven't earned much.
Jets have run 8 plays, and they've gained a total of 1 yard. It's 3rd and 11. McCown gets rid of it, incomplete. 3rd drive, 3rd 3 and out for the Jets.
When you go back and you look at the season for the Buffalo Bills, there have been some low points, but there have been a couple of high points. Remember when they went on the road and they played the Minnesota Vikings and everybody thought, oh, nothing could possibly happen well for them. They got turnovers, they moved the ball, they scored touchdowns. They're playing with that same type of energy here on the road against the New York Jets so far in this ballgame.
Here's Edwards with his 3rd punt. McKenzie, the deep man. Good kick by Lachlan Edwards. McKenzie all the way back to his own 16. Hesitates. Now on the return, out of bounds shy of the 30-yard line. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from State Farm. 1:17 to go first quarter. Let's check in with Jay Feely.
Andrew, Bills receiver Robert Foster was brought into the locker room questionable with a finger injury. I saw him working on it a lot, trying to loosen it up. He had a couple of other fingers taped. The pointer finger wasn't taped. That's the one they were working on. He also had a watch on. I've never seen a player wear a watch since Reggie Roby.
That's an amazing Reggie Roby reference by Jay Feely.
It's all about the kickers.
1:17 to go. And Barkley to the air on 1st down. Another deep shot. He's got Zay Jones, who reels it in at midfield. Thrown down by Buster Skrine. But the Bills continue to take shots down the field. This one for 33 yards.
And what they are saying is if we can protect for our quarterback, maybe people haven't tested the Jet secondary well up the field. So we've seen a deep ball to Foster. We've seen deep throws to Kelvin Benjamin. We've seen a couple of deep throws to Zay Jones, and that one is a completion.
For Jones, only his 2nd catch this year of longer than 20 yards. McCoy. And McCoy tackled at the line of scrimmage. Tonight, big tech companies are making billions off of your personal data, but are they protecting it? Plus, these twins made a secret pact as children that has led them to become NFL teammates. The amazing Griffin brothers tonight on 60 Minutes. The Bills have 186 yards of offense to just 1 for the Jets. And that could be it for the first quarter. End of 1 here at the Meadowlands. Buffalo 14, New York nothing. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Very ugly first quarter numbers for the New York Jets. They trail 14-0 at home against a 2-7 Buffalo team that's starting Matt Barkley, and Barkley's looked pretty good here early on. 5 of 10 for 103 yards. Josh McCown and the Jets offense just 1 yard. As we start the second quarter with James Lofton and Jay Feely, our producer Jason Ross, director Andy Goldberg, I'm Andrew Catalan. Barkley with plenty of time and nearly picked off. Morris Claiborne had it but could not hold on.
Barkley got away with one there. You're trying a deep shot. You have a receiver who's running a deep route, and then you're trying to bring Zay Jones across. And really, you see up the field, there's more area that Zay Jones could have worked that route a little deeper because Claiborne had the underneath coverage, and since there's no player out in the flat, he just continues to sink back and almost had an interception.
Jets still don't have a takeaway in their last 3 games. That would have been a big one there. Instead, it's 3rd and 10. Barkley, and that pass is caught, but short of the sticks. Zay Jones brings it in. It's 4th and a yard. What does Sean McDermott do?
Well, they're going for it. We've already seen an aggressive call in a punt situation where they snapped the ball to Logan Thomas. They're up back. He threw a 1st down pass to the outside. So they've got a 4th down situation here. Hauska's been great in the field goal department. They want to get this and get maybe 7 more.
Bills were 1 for 3 last week on 4th down against the Bears. DeMarco, the fullback. McCoy, the running back. Movement. McCoy moved early. They pitch it to him. McCoy has the first, but now the flags come in.
Yeah, that's
This should have been a false start.
Yep.
Bills have been brutal in the pre-snap penalty department, second most in the NFL this year.
Yeah, this puts Hauschka on the field now for a field goal attempt.
Illegal shift by the offense. 2 men moving did not come set before the snap. 5-yard penalty. Replay 4th down.
You can have one guy move, but you cannot have 2 guys move at the same time, and that's what you're going to have with the running backs here. There's a little shift, and you saw Shady McCoy try to take one baby step and then come to it. No, that's an illegal shift because you had the motion and they never got reset.
And a little thing, but you've got a different quarterback with a different cadence, a guy you haven't practiced a lot with. No, you're not buying it.
Not going to give him that out on that one. Not going to give him that out.
So here's Hauschka, 54-yard field goal attempt, 7th all time in field goal percentage of field goals from beyond 50 yards. This kick on the way, little bit of wind here today, and that one is good. Hauschka drills it, a season-long 54-yarder. 17-0 now, Buffalo. Got a kicker on the sideline. Let's hear from Jay Feely on that big boot from Hauschka.
Well, he rode the win. It was at his back, and he rode it in. He's been better than anybody in the league. Made 13 straight field goals over 50 yards last year. And Stephen Hauschka rewarding his coach's face, knocking through the 54-yarder.
He's now tied for 50th all time with Lou Groza, his 235th career field goal made. Now in his 11th season out of NC State.
Jay, it would seem like it's human nature. Do you actually try and kick the ball harder when you kick it from 50 as opposed to 35?
James, you want to stay at 80% as far back as you can go. That's your best exertion level. So I always tested it. You know, you get back and you see, can I stay at 53? Where do I have to change it over? I think that was at the point I watched Hauschka kick in warm-ups, and when he got past 50, he had to really dial it up and hit it hard, and that was a great kick.
So you could probably hear a little grunt as he's kicking the ball right there?
Yeah, maybe a little Monica Seles.
We watched you kicking warm-ups too, Jay. It wasn't as
ugly.
pretty as Hauschka's 54-yarder.
That's why I'm on the sideline, not kicking.
No, you could be out there.
Here's Roberts, and it's a touchback. All right, James Lofton, how did the Jets get going offensively?
Well, the interesting thing for the Jets as a team and as a building, they really thought, you know, Sam Darnold been struggling, foot injury, sit him down, and we're going to be okay with Josh McCown. He's a veteran. He was great last year. He's been in Josh's ear, so he knows the offense. And now they've got to kind of shake that off. They've got to shake off this thing, and down 17-0. They need points, and they need them desperately on this drive.
Fewest yards first quarter at home since 1991. McCown over the middle, and Jermaine Kearse, no, incomplete. It bounced before it got there. How about this? The Jets have 1 touchdown in their last 30 possessions.
And they know it. They can feel it. And you know, we're talking about field goal kicking and doing it at 80%. It's not like you can play offense at 80%, but there has to be a calm and a poise about it. And right now it's kind of frenetic. Everybody's moving around. You look at the shifts. A couple of receivers went in the wrong direction. Now they're getting lined up. Now you're getting rushed with the play clock and trying to give signals and tell everybody what to do. It's tough.
McCown to Kearse. He's got this one and hit hard at the 31-yard line. Poyer and Edmonds on the tackle. Tremaine Edmonds just cleared concussion protocol yesterday. Did not play last week against Chicago. And that 8 yards, the longest play today by the Jets.
Jets bring in Tomlinson there. Really, really good blocking tight end. Line there right on the left side of the line.
3rd and 2. Play fake. Good protection. Now McCown nowhere to go. Throws it incomplete. Another 3 and out by the Jets. 4 possessions, 4 3 and outs. And more boos.
Great coverage on the back end. You get just enough pressure up front, and you get guys who are relentless in their pursuit toward the quarterback. When you're a defensive tackle and they've got a center and a guard double teaming you, and you continue to push the pocket, because you know if you push and you've got great coverage, you're going to fluster the quarterback a little bit. That time McCown flustered in the pocket.
McKenzie, the deep man for Buffalo. McKenzie from his 15. McKenzie with some nice moves and out of bounds across the 35-yard line. He's provided a nice spark today for the Bills. All Buffalo. It's 17-0. Jets struggling offensively, to say the least, as they try to figure what's going on. They've run 12 plays and gained 9 yards. Bills offense returns to the field, 1st and 10 from their own 36-yard line. Matt Barkley 6 of 12 for 112 yards passing. Handing off to Murphy on 1st down, and Murphy to the 40. It's been a number of big plays for the Buffalo Bills so far in this half.
And not only big plays, but also a big statement. And when I say big statement, I'm talking about this 4th down play, because the statement that you're making, not that we're necessarily going to convert it, but our defense is good enough where I can put them out there in the middle of the field and they can shut your offense down.
Keeping it on the ground. That's LeSean McCoy, and it'll bring up 3rd down for the Bills. Did not lead at all in the last 3 games. Today they have led since the 2nd play from scrimmage.
When this season started for the New York Jets, they looked at their secondary, and with the addition of Tremaine Johnson, they said, we've got 5 guys back here who can really play, and they certainly do. Claiborne has had a good season. Adams, who we're always talking about, there he is. Got to know where he is.
Robert Foster back in the game for the Bills, and the pass is caught by Zay Jones for a Buffalo 1st down.
And I mentioned knowing where Adams is. They threw opposite to where he was. Not that that's the soft part of the zone or the weakness or anything, but he's just such a dynamic playmaker that not a lot of good happens when you try and go after Jamal Adams. Look at the possession chart, and 2 big chunk plays and a really nice 14-play drive for 73 yards.
McCoy trying the right side into Jets territory, and 8 more yards for LeSean McCoy. NFL Today update. Here's JB and Bill Cowher.
After converting a 4th and 2.
Yeah, here's James Devlin getting a little bit of bonus, getting a run from 1 yard out, completing a 10-play, 75-yard drive. Now they trail Tennessee 17-10.
Andrew, James, and Jay.
All right, guys, thank you very much. Jets will see the Patriots after their bye next week. And McCoy continues his hard running. Darren Lee makes the tackle, but not before Shady picks up 5 yards.
You know, we always talk about the skill players. The offensive line doesn't get much credit. But watch a couple of Jet defenders who are getting up off the ground at the tail end of this play. When you have defensive linemen who are on the ground, you're going to have running lanes to run through. And that's the big accomplishment for the offensive line so far.
Jets only allowed 64 yards rushing last week against Miami. Buffalo already with 87 yards on the ground in the 1st half. Trying to add to their total. It's Murphy finding a hole. Buffalo just keeps running on the Jets as we check in with Jay Feely.
Well, Andrew, distinct differences between these 2 sidelines. The Bills jumping around, all fired up. Over on the Jets, nothing. It's like a Saturday morning walkthrough. Nobody's even yelling. James, you know, you need those hype guys when things aren't going well. You need guys to get in other guys' faces and get them playing, and I just don't see much of it at all.
And normally it's the defense that's been generating this energy, waiting for the offense to do something. Now the defense is getting pounded.
Murphy has a 1st down. And this is such a critical game for Todd Bowles. His future on the line. He's on the hot seat. Back pages of the papers, all over talk radio. Earlier this week on WFAN Radio, the CMB show, Jamal Adams defended Todd Bowles, said he doesn't think it's about him, their struggles. And then when we met with Leonard Williams on Friday at the Jets facility, he said, we're all aware of Todd's future. We don't talk about it, but I would be disappointed if there was a coaching change. Leonard Williams going to bat for his head coach as Barkley hits Andre Holmes, who's still going inside the 10 and tackled at the 8-yard line. Gain of 22, first and goal for Buffalo.
Think about the Jets defenders coming into this game. Well, we're not going to face Josh Allen. We won't see Derek Anderson, Nathan Peterman, he's not available. They're going to the number 4 quarterback. I don't know if you walk into this game a little overconfident, or maybe you come in and you don't know, hey, we don't remember what Matt Barkley can do. But now they're seeing all that Matt Barkley can do. Here's a kid who was the #1 rated player in the nation his junior year in high school. Some injuries after that, going to USC. He's getting a chance today.
First and goal, play fake, Barkley, time, and he finds Deion Dawkins, the left tackle with the touchdown. Dawkins from nearby Rahway, New Jersey, in his second year at a Temple. The Bills pulling out all the stops today, and they lead it 23-0.
Before that play, Dawkins had to report as an eligible receiver, so he rubbed his belly, and you thought maybe he needs something to eat. No, he's saying, I'm an eligible receiver on the end of the line. He blocks, he sheds the block. I'm surprised he didn't throw his hand up and indicate to Barkley that he was wide open, but he got those big mitts ready to catch the football.
Matt Barkley with his first touchdown pass since Christmas Eve 2016 when he was with the Chicago Bears. And the extra point is good. Bills are playing loose. Jets are tight. It all adds up to a 24-0 lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the NFL. Dell and the XPS 13 with Dell Cinema. And by State Farm, here to help life go right.
Pancho Villa, his real name's Ezra Castro, battling cancer. Huge Bills fan. He was the one who spoke to the team last night in their meeting. And there he is at the game. We certainly wish him well. Great feature done by CBS Sports on Pancho Villa last week. And whatever he said, James, certainly seems to be working right now for Buffalo. Roberts on the return. Roberts down the sideline and out of bounds at the 29. Don't forget, coming up in the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. It's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Matt Barkley, 9 of 15, 146 yards and a touchdown. And just to finish a point earlier about what Leonard Williams told us about Todd Bowles, he said, I would be disappointed if there was a coaching change. I believe in him. I understand the fans' frustration, but I think it's smart to give him more time. He also said this is an important game in relation to Bowles' future. Well, this is the type of game that gets coaches fired. Jets are down 24-0, and we take a look at their struggles today. It has not been pretty.
Well, it started the first play of the game on the deep pass, but on offense, you just haven't been able to win consistently at the line of scrimmage. There's been pressure on McCown, tip balls a little bit off target. So some of this credit also has to go to the Buffalo Bills defensively.
Jerry Hughes is down and injured for the Bills. That was a 7-yard loss by Isaiah Crowell. And now the Bills training staff attending to Hughes in his 6th year with Buffalo. Came into the game tied for first on the team in sacks with 4.5.
And there's a little bit of a limp there that you don't like to look at. You figure on the other end, Trent Murphy, who's out for this ball game, has been out the last 2 weeks. Shaq Lawson is there, so it takes away the depth that you have at the defensive line position.
46 quarterback pressures this season for Hughes, third most in the NFL. And after the 7-yard loss, it's 2nd and 17 for the Jets. McCown with a screen to Crowell. And Crowell, good. You run after the catch by Crowell. He's got a Jets first down, a gain of 18, and the Jets fans on their feet. A sarcastic cheer. Finally, something positive here for New York.
And for Crowell, who was described by Jordan Poyer, the starting free safety for the Buffalo Bills, as a collision runner. He's not going to make a lot of moves, very direct in his course, and you've got to be willing to take him down, willing to confront that collision.
First down today by the Jets. McCown checks it down to Crowell and get hit hard. That is Taron Johnson, who continues to impress in his rookie season, the 4th-round pick out of Weber State.
You are getting a chance to play with the lead. You feel euphoric out there if you're a Buffalo Bill. The offense has been doing their job. You're doing your job. You're coming up. You're making big hits. And that's a nice wrap-up tackle.
Here's Trenton Cannon. A little creativity by the Jets and offensive coordinator Jeremy Bates. A gain of 9 as we go back to New York. Another NFL Today update with JB and Bill Cowher.
Record-setting touchdown.
Yeah, 31st of the year from Patrick Mahomes to Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill said, you know what, Andy Italiano, my cameraman, go take a break, my man, because I can do this. Andy steps out of the way. Tyreek Hill takes over. He can do it all. Full-time Kansas City Chief, part-time CBS employee.
Back to Andrew James and Jay.
That's great stuff. Got to get Tyreek Hill a CBS Blazer.
Huge coaching decision right now, and I don't think it's a decision at all. You got 4th, less than a yard. You've got to go for this. With the way that the ball game is going, you need this. You need to pick it up.
And Todd Bowles does have the offense on the field. 4th and 1 as we approach 5 minutes to go in the first half. And now a timeout called by the Bills. 5:05 to go. It's 4th and 1 when we come back. Todd Bowles and the Jets going for it on 4th and 1 from midfield.
Here's Tremaine Edwards, the middle linebacker. You expect him to be able to influence this play.
Eli McGuire has the first down and more. McGuire still on his feet inside the 40. And a gain of 13 for Eli McGuire.
That's some great shiftiness right in between all the muck and muck. You've got bodies flying in every direction, and you're thinking he's just going to try and dive ahead for 1 yard. He keeps his vision up, and he makes Star Lutulay miss right in the middle of the hole.
Jerry Hughes is back out there for the Bills, left earlier with an injury. McGuire again trying the right side, and McGuire with some good running. He stayed in bounds. A flag is down, and then Levi Wallace hits McGuire. Let's see what the penalty is.
2 flags in the backfield, another flag out on the perimeter. Holding is a 10-yard spot foul, so they've got to determine which holding call took place furthest behind the line of scrimmage.
There were multiple fouls during the play, all by the offense. Holding, number 10 is declined. Holding, number 68 is also declined. Holding, number 86 is accepted. 10-yard penalty, replay first down.
That kind of sums up the Jets season right now. My goodness.
See Leggett there, he has his hands outside the body. A nice job by Shaq Lawson, kind of flailing with one arm to indicate I was being held.
Negates an 18-yard run. And the ball now spotted at the Buffalo 47-yard line. Cannon, the running back at the top of your screen, lined up at wide receiver.
Sandy 47. Where is this?
Again, if you're just joining us, no Robbie Anderson today. He's out for the Jets with an ankle injury. Pressure coming. McCown has to get rid of it. And it's up for grabs and picked off. Matt Milano on the return for Buffalo. And Milano still going. Finally brought down at the 45-yard line. Second interception of the season for Milano. And more boos from the fans here at MetLife Stadium.
When you get pressure on the quarterback, you're going to have trouble down the field on the other end. You've got to be able to contain that. You've got to give the quarterback a clean pocket and a chance to throw. Matt Milano came into the game with 3 fumble recoveries, 1 interception. Needless to say, he's got pretty good ball skills for being an outside backer. Reviewing his play, looked like his foot was a little close to the being out of bounds on about his 4th step. Right about there. He's high steps. He stays in bounds. So that's some good running skills too.
Yeah, at Boston College, he played both safety and linebacker, so he has those coverage skills. He's done a great job on tight ends this year in the coverage department. Now playing linebacker in the NFL. And on first down, the Bills with LaShawn McCoy moving the ball into Jets territory. A 5-yard pickup with 3:45 to go in the second quarter. The Bills trying to add to their lead.
You don't see pancake blocks very often where an offensive lineman takes the defensive lineman and just drives him straight down the field. But watch Wyatt Teller here. He's going to get a pancake block. He's going to finish this, drive him down, and put him on his back.
At the Combine this year, Teller top 5 of all offensive linemen in bench press. He did 225 pounds 30 times. McCoy spins away and has daylight. McCoy out of bounds at the 25-yard line. A 23-yard gain for LaShawn McCoy, who's moving closer to 100 yards in the first half.
Barry Sanders had it when he was with the Detroit Lions. That spin move, to be able to do that as a running back, yeah, it looks great after the fact, but remember, he's going blind to everything else that's coming at him. Julius Adams is coming off the corner, spins, freezes him, and then he accelerates.
McCoy with 93 total yards to just 42 for the Jets, and McCoy now has a season-high rushing in the first half today with 88 yards. Murphy giving McCoy a breather and gets a yard. McCoy's previous season high was 85 yards rushing in the win over Tennessee. Last 3 games, McCoy had gained a total of 24 yards. Today, 12 carries, 88 yards, and his first touchdown of the season. Should be the final play before the 2-minute warning. Barkley's just going to wait. And now here's a special look at Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, in theaters Thursday.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Lowe's. And by Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, in theaters Thursday.
Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, JB and the guys in New York have all the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. 24-0 in favor of the Bills. In the last 3 games, the Bills had scored a total of 20 points. They have more in the first half today so far against the Jets, and looking for more as they have it 2nd and 9 at the 25-yard line. Marcus Murphy in at running back. Barkley hands it to Murphy. Murphy has some room. Murphy still going. Murphy inside the 10 and out of bounds at the 7. 1st and goal for the Bills.
It's both LaShawn McCoy and Marcus Murphy. It looks like they are riding on a bicycle that goes faster than anything that the Jets can do. It's speed You're getting little holes. You're getting these backs who are going through so fast. And this Jet defense just can't adjust to the speed of the two running backs.
The Bills have 144 yards rushing. That ties their season high for rushing yards in a game. They've done it here in the first half. McCoy up the middle. McCoy dives and he's in. Touchdown Buffalo. Second of the day for McCoy. And the Bills are pouring it on in New Jersey.
We used to have a saying, body on a body, and that's exactly what the offensive linemen are doing. They're getting a body on a body. The linebackers are not able to get up and make a play. We're looking at that replay. That ball's down a little bit early.
Yeah, they're going to have to take those points off the board and spot it just inside the 1. Ron Torbert awaiting the official word from New York.
Ruling on the field of a touchdown will be reviewed.
Marcus May comes up. He's the low man making the tackle here. See, watch the forearm come down with the ball in his hand just short of the end line. Foster there, the wide receiver, he's checking it out, and you see he doesn't throw his hands up. He's down a little bit short. Maybe we'll give it to him if he bounces in, but it's not the case. See, his own receiver doesn't signal touchdown. You've got to do that. You've got to at least be part actor if you're Foster right there, Andrew.
I remember last year, week 17 in Miami, Bills gave the ball to Kyle Williams on the 1-yard line, and he was able to score a touchdown. They pulled out all the stops today. A fake punt, a touchdown pass to Deion Dawkins.
Well, if I'm trying to dole out touchdowns here, I hand it to my fullback, Patrick DeMarco. I line him up in the eye. You run that quick dive. Everybody has their eyes on the tailback, but he's closer to the line of scrimmage than that tailback who would normally be lined up at 7 yards.
Still waiting for Ron Torbert here. Seems pretty clear it's not a touchdown. Matt Barkley, 9 of 15, 146 yards, and a touchdown pass.
And I think the big thing, 10 yards per attempt almost.
The runner's right elbow was down with the ball short of the goal line. It'll be Buffalo's ball, 2nd and goal from the half-yard line. We set the game clock to 1 minute 50 seconds. By rule, with a replay reversal in the last 2 minutes, we will run 10 seconds. The game clock should be now set to 1 minute 40 seconds. It'll start on my ready for play signal.
Buffalo would have had an option to use one of their timeouts, but they're not in a situation where they're going to be stressed over time. I wonder if Matt Barkley, in the 2 weeks he's been with the Buffalo Bills, has run a quarterback sneak in practice.
Looking for their 4th touchdown in 6 possessions. This entire drive has been on the ground, and now 2nd and goal from inside the 1.
Last time they were down semi-close like this, the offensive linemen were the designated pass targets.
Barkley himself gets a push from TeMarco. No signal yet, and he is short.
So I would venture to say that they had not run this in practice before. There's no elevation there, kind of just a lean, and then he goes, somebody's pushing me in the back, help me.
Barkley does not have a rushing touchdown in his career.
And you really don't want to be the guy who sticks the ball out, and you get the Jets crashing in there with their helmets and their shoulder pads, and that ball pop out. So you want to secure the ball and give Brian Daboll a chance to give it to one of the running backs here. Because you don't need to look on your wristband if they call quarterback sneak.
Play clock at 3. McCoy hit hard, second effort, and he's in. Touchdown, LeSean McCoy, his second of the day. And he fires the ball against the back of the end zone. First time since Tampa Bay a year ago, he's had 2 touchdowns in a game.
And you talked about that second effort. I think when we watch LeSean McCoy play, because he's so shifty, he's so nimble, we forget that you still got to be powerful to run the ball, especially down near the goal line. And watch his teammates. They're going, yeah, we're racking up some points today. Let's get out there and play some pass defense.
Extra point from Hauschka is good. 31-0 in favor of Buffalo. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Lowe's. 2 touchdowns today for LeSean McCoy. He's got 96 yards rushing. Bills lead at 31-0. Jets are 0-5 when trailing at the half this year. They've lost 14 in a row when trailing at halftime. And man, oh man, it's been already a long day for the Jets and their fans. Here's Roberts on the return. Roberts finds his seam up the middle and still going across the 35-yard line. Well, as part of the New York Jets Salute to Service Week, the team hosted a flag football game for members of the McGuire Air Force Base. It was the 8th military flag football game supported by the Jets. Current players coached each team. Service members used the Jets locker room to change into their custom Salute to Service jerseys. The NFL is deeply committed to Salute to Service, the league's year-round effort to honor, empower, and connect with our nation's service members, veterans, and their families. Join the Salute by visiting NFL.com/salute. McCown throwing on first down, caught by Teron Peak. And he's got a Jets first down. Ball out to the 48-yard line, a gain of 11.
Jets have all 3 timeouts, so any ball, any play that's still in bounds, timeout right afterwards. So you had that at the sideline. Todd Bowles ready to call the timeout on the sideline, or your quarterback ready to call timeout if the ball's down in the field of play.
Just the second catch this season for Peak, the third-year man out of Clemson. Pressure coming from Shaq Lawson. Now McCown in trouble, and he's taken down. And it was Jerry Hughes hitting McCown. He's now got 5.5 sacks on the year as the Jets call timeout.
This is a frustrating way to end that half. You're already down 31-0. You get sacked. You're trying to get the ball down the field, but you've got great coverage in the back end. So the Buffalo Bills, who have played good defense from time to time, even though coming in here the last couple of weeks, they've given up 37, 25, 41 points. So you would have not expected this, and putting some of the babies to sleep, some of the older babies also.
I'm not saying all of this is on Josh McCown, but James, do you think at halftime the Jets consider a quarterback change? They called up Davis Webb off the practice squad yesterday.
I don't see where it could hurt, and not going to send the team in the opposite direction.
McCown fires. That's caught by Chris Herndon, the impressive tight end. Hit hard at midfield. And another timeout called by the Jets. There's Davis Webb, who a lot of people thought was the heir apparent to Eli Manning, 3rd-round pick by the Giants last year out of Cal. Giants surprisingly cut him on September 1st. They thought Kyle Lauletta was a better developmental quarterback than Webb. The Jets were happy to sign him to their practice squad, and because of the injury to Darnold, they had to call him up off the practice squad yesterday. He's never appeared in a regular season NFL game, but we talked with Todd Bowles about Webb, and he said, I like him a lot. He's got a chance. One of the first guys in the building, one of the last to leave, very intelligent, just needs reps.
And you need a fearless mindset as a backup quarterback because you never know what situation you're going to enter the game in.
15 seconds to go. McCown delivers, nearly intercepted off the hands of Levi Wallace, who's making his first start today, undrafted out of Alabama, a rookie. Earlier this week, the Bills cut Phillip Gaines, and Wallace taking his place in the starting lineup.
And Wallace has a string bean body. He's 6 feet, 179 pounds. He's got long arms and great speed. And he, like you say, undercut that ball and almost made the play on it.
His NFL debut today. Now 4th and 7 with 10 seconds to go. And we have a stoppage at timeout by the Bills.
So I think one of the things you want to do, Buffalo Bills, just quickly, you want to tell the guys, if you intercept the ball, knock it down. It's 4th down. We take the ball over right here. So you send that message. And then on the other side of the field, Todd Bowles, I'm just wondering, what is his message going to be to his team at halftime? I mean, I've been on teams that have been down by this margin, and you just go in and you're kind of looking around, everybody's head is down. And, right before you get ready to go out, okay, guys, one play at a time. And that's about all you can say.
Davis Webb talking with Sam Darnold. A strained foot for Darnold. They're hopeful he can return after the bye, which the Jets have next week. 4th and 7. McCown to McGuire. He's got the first down. And McGuire with the clock at 2, and the Jets are able to get that timeout in with 2 seconds to go. Their final timeout. And from here, it'd be about a 56-yard field goal, which Jason Myers made last week in Miami. Let's check in with Jay Feely.
Well, Andrew, Jason Myers has one of the strongest legs in the league. His career long's 58. I watched him in warm-ups going this way, knocking 55s through easy. Not much of a win down here at all. And he's got plenty of leg. It's just a matter of controlling it and trying to give the Jets something to build on as they go in here at halftime.
Yeah, Jets do get the ball to start the second half.
Jay, is he demoralized like the rest of the team, or is he going out there just doing his job?
James, it doesn't matter. You got to go in and you got to do your job. You're a professional, just like you did in your Hall of Fame career.
And now Sean McDermott will call his final timeout. Officially a 55-yard field goal attempt from Myers, who this season from 50 and beyond is 3 out of 4. His only miss was last week in Miami. Badly missed a 50-yarder wide right. So last week the Bills were down 28-0 at halftime to the Bears. And this week looks like they're either going to be up by 31 or 28. What a difference a week makes. Matt Barkley, 9 out of 15, 146 yards and a touchdown pass. And McCown, 7 of 14 for 65 yards and an interception. Jets only have 68 yards of offense here in the first half. Kick by Myers on line, and it is good. And another sarcastic cheer from the fans here at the Meadowlands as the Jets are on the board. A 55-yarder from Jason Myers. Should be an interesting locker room with Todd Bowles and the Jets right now. They trail 31-3. Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon and a word from your local station. At the half, the Bills have a 31-3 lead on the Jets as we take a look at our first half heroes presented by Downey. And it's the touchdown pass from Matt Barkley to Dion Dawkins, the left tackle, with his first career touchdown.
And he said, I wore the red shoes for a reason because I knew I'd be dancing in the end zone.
With the Hall of Famer James Lofton, I'm Andrew Catalon. We'll hear from Jay Feely coming up. Wow, I mean, the Jets' performance in that first half, you credit the Bills, but unbelievably stunning first half in a negative way for New York.
It really is, and you're at the time of year where you're kind of out of the playoff hunt and you're starting to evaluate, and whether that's as a player, As a coach, whatever you're doing in this organization, you're being evaluated. And Todd Bowles is looking at his team, and they know that jobs are on the line. They just don't know which level jobs are on the line.
Just 68 yards of offense for the Jets in the first half. They do get the ball to start the second half, trailing by 28 points. Roberts on the return from his 3-yard line. Roberts hit hard by Raphael Bush. As we check in with Jay Feely.
Andrew, I talked to Todd Bowles. He said his message to his team was, it's all about pride, that we got kicked in the face, we got to come out and fight. He said the problem's defensively, too many guys on the ground, allowing cutback runs. A happy Sean McDermott said the key to their offense was the first play, hitting the go route, and then that opened up the running game and the ability of the offensive line to get the ball and get movement. And he was very proud of his team and efforts.
Yeah, give McDermott and Brandon Beane, the general manager, a lot of credit calling up Robert Foster off the practice squad just to stretch the field, and they did it on the first play of the game. McCown now trying to stretch the field to Cannon, incomplete. Coverage on the play by Raphael Bush. This is the first time since 1992 the Bills have had a 28-point lead or larger at the half. It was November 22nd of 92. Buffalo led Atlanta 38-7 at the half, and the guy standing next to me was on that team.
And that was an Atlanta Falcons team that featured Deion Sanders at cornerback. And we ran the ball for almost 300 yards in that ball game.
Enunwa on the catch and hit hard by Milano at the 35-yard line. Brings up third down. The first half, Jets were 0 for 6 on third downs.
This is such a tough time for wide receivers. You just feel like the defensive backs know you have to throw, know that you're probably going to throw short because your pass rushers are getting after the quarterback, and you just feel like these guys are just coming up trying to lay big hits on you.
3rd and 3. Quick pass to McGuire, and Tre'Davious White hit him as he made the catch, but with that spot, it looks like it's going to be good for a Jets first down.
That's good concentration by McGuire. He knows he's running a quick swing route. He can see out of the corner of his eye to Tre'Davious White, who's coming up to hit him. He focuses on the ball and then is even able to make just a little move with his hip to get out of the way.
First time today the Jets have converted on third down. McCown, pass was too high and nearly caught by Enunwa, even though he was not the intended receiver.
You know, you want to be lucky every once in a while. Enunwa, looking at his right knee there, he's flexing and turning and trying to get back to that ball.
Second down and 10. Up the middle with McGuire, and the Bills hold him to no gain. Harrison Phillips, Tremaine Edmonds in on the tackle, and it's third down.
The Bills giving up that 55-yard field goal at the end of the first half. They don't have a chance for a shutout, but they have a chance to keep them out of the end zone. So that's another little thing that this entire defensive unit, when they went in the locker room, they were talking about. Not that we're up by 28. Let's keep them out of the end zone.
Leslie Frazier, the Bills defensive coordinator. His team has held the Jets to just 79 yards. That pass batted down by Kyle Williams. At the age of 35, still an impact player, and the Jets will punt.
That's 3 passes out of the hands of Josh McCown that have been batted down. And it's almost like he has a little elongated release there. It's not real quick. But Kyle Williams right there in the gap and moving in the direction that he's throwing the ball, not at the quarterback. Gets his hands up, elevates. Punt time.
Kyle had us drooling in our production meeting last night when he told us he got the chance to play Augusta National earlier this year. Shot a 78 at Augusta. That's how good Kyle Williams is. And here off the hop, McKenzie is spun down at the 15. 12:53 to go, third quarter. Kyle Williams and the Bills lead it 31-3. Early third quarter, Bills in front of the Jets 31-3 with Matt Barkley and the Buffalo offense out on the field for the first time this half. Quick pass to McKenzie. He's got great speed and some room. McKenzie with a Bills first down. A gain of 14 for one of the newest members of the Bills, claimed off waivers from the Broncos on Monday.
And when you flash down and you're watching an NFL game and you see somebody who's really undersized, they're going to be overspeeded. They're going to be the fastest, quickest player around. And you could see that right there. I mean, as soon as he caught the ball, instant acceleration. And then even when they try to knock him down, they're still strong players. These are the strongest guys in the weight room when you go to the gym, these little guys on the football field.
5'8", 173 pounds out of Georgia, LeSean McCoy. And Nathan Shepard, the rookie for the Jets, one of the first to get there. Mike Pinnell in on the tackle as well. Well, James, the decision today to start Matt Barkley does not bode well for the future of Nathan Peterman in this Bills organization. As Sean McDermott told us last night, Nathan just needs a break. He's young, has obviously not gotten off to a great start. He was very disappointed when McDermott told him he would not start, but 1 touchdown, 7 interceptions. For his career, he's thrown as many pick sixes as touchdowns. And again, no one's saying it's all on Peterman. But with this decision today, you really have to wonder, once Josh Allen is healthy, if the Bills will just cut bait with Nathan Peterman.
And I don't know if it's with this decision, but with the performance of Matt Barkley today. Yes, Matt Barkley's been a guy who's been on 6 different ball clubs, but we're watching him play today, and he's had moments during the course of his career where he's played really well, doing it again today. And like I said, in his last outing in 2016 with the Chicago Bears, he had 3 300-yard games, so maybe this isn't as big a surprise as what we thought. We see Peterman standing there on the sideline. It's tough watching somebody else perform and do well. Even though you're rooting for your teammate, you'd love that opportunity for yourself.
Peterman was a 5th-round pick last year out of Pittsburgh, started the season opener in Baltimore. Buffalo got crushed in that one. They turned to Josh Allen, who hasn't been able to go the last 4 games now because of an elbow. But all indications are Allen, who returned to practice late last week and practice on a limited basis this week, should be able to go after the Bills bye. They don't need 4 quarterbacks on the roster. You think they'd like to keep Derek Anderson and his wisdom in that quarterback room. So it certainly appears that Peterman will be the odd man out. McCoy inching closer to 100 yards. He's got 97 on the ground today. Matt Barkley is 9 for his last 11 for 113 yards and a touchdown.
And to start the game off with the deep shot to Foster, it's a ball that you probably complete 35% of the time. Right on the money. And the one thing you want to do as a quarterback is not throw it out of bounds. Kept the ball in bounds, led him properly, and they were off to a flying start. Haven't slowed down since then.
3rd down and 9. They hand it off to McCoy. That'll get him over 100 yards, but it will not get him a first down. Tackled short of the sticks by Jamal Adams. It's 4th down, and out comes Colton Schmidt. But that's the first 100-yard game for LeSean McCoy since week 14 of last year. He's got 103 yards on 17 carries.
And that's over 5 yards per carry. I'm keeping my shoes on, so I don't know exactly how far it is. I can't count on all my toes. But he came in averaging 3 yards per carry. So this is a big game for LeSean McCoy, just in terms of the way he normally runs the football.
There's Schmidt just getting it away. He was hit to the ground. May have been deflected. A fair catch by Roberts. 10-10 to go in the 3rd quarter. Colton Schmidt hanging in there on that last punt. Bills still in front, 31-3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the all-new 2018 Jeep Wrangler, Starbucks, sip a cup of magic, and by FedEx, possibilities, what we deliver by delivery.
Earlier today, 3-time NCAA Wrestling All-American Anthony Robles set a Guinness Book of World Records for most pull-ups in 1 minute. The record was 61. He came in at 62. Big cheer from the crowd here at the Meadowlands as the Jets have their second drive of the second half, trailing 31-3. Take a look at Todd Bowles. And after that first season going 10-6, losing the finale against Buffalo, costing them a chance at the playoffs. 5-11, 5-11, and now about to fall to 3-7, barring a big comeback. We mentioned it before, but this is the type of game that would get a coach fired. He's already been on the hot seat. You come in with a team playing its fourth quarterback. You're favored. You got everything in your corner as Herndon has a big pickup for the Jets. And they put this one out there at 31-3. We told you Leonard Williams said to us on Friday he hopes that the Jets do not make a coaching change. But at this point, James, you got to think that it's more likely than not that Bowles is gone. And the question becomes, do they do it on their bye, which is coming up this week, or do they wait till the end of the season?
I was on a coaching staff with the Oakland Raiders at the time, and Lane Kiffin was let go. Going into the bye, and it was chaotic with the coaches. Guys interviewing, walking through Al Davis's office, trying to figure out who was going to be next.
How about Cannon as the Jets pulling out some tricks here on offense? 14-yard pickup for Trenton Cannon.
Now, if you've watched the Buffalo Bills, really great job pursuing runs, chasing things. When they're doing that, you are vulnerable to the reverse, and some good blocking down the field, a nice chunk play, and a little momentum for the Jets. And part of this evaluation process, as we're talking about the coach is looking at the players, and you want a better performance in the second half than what you had in the first half. Doesn't take much to do that, but you want to see the effort level.
McCown in trouble, and he is sacked. Shaq Lawson continues to have his best year as a Buffalo Bill. His second sack of the season.
Lawson coming down, and he's right here, hesitates a little bit, and then he splits two defenders, two offensive players to get to the quarterback. So that's an effort level sack. He didn't just dip around the outside with speed, but two guys he split.
Third sack today for the Buffalo defense. A loss of 5. It's 2nd and 15. Crowell with some room inside the 20. Hit hard by Jerry Hughes. But a first down run for Isaiah Crowell, a pickup of 18.
If there's one thing that Crowell is going to be, he's going to be physical at the tail end of runs. He's going to fall forward. He's going to get you those extra yards. And so once again, it's effort level. So you can see Todd Bowles' message to his team starting to pay off dividends. And yes, 28 points. And you get something happen with your defense. If you can get in the end zone here, even closer.
Curse tackled at the 5-yard line. Jets fans are thinking, where was this offense and this play calling in the first half? Opened it up a little bit. The reverse to Cannon. Best drive of the day coming up on its 7th play. 2nd and 2. Jets can get a first down without scoring. Crowell, some room on that left side. He's got an angle and he's got a touchdown. First touchdown today for the Jets. The 6th of the year for Isaiah Crowell.
When you get a play that's that wide open, watching Nooner right there coming in, he gets a great block on the outside defender. He seals the edge, and then it's just a little bit of a foot race to the pylon.
Here's Myers for the extra point. A 7-play, 73-yard drive. It only took 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Crowell with some room on that left side. And it's now 31-10. Isaiah Crowell's touchdown cuts it down to a 21-point deficit for the Jets. Bills are anticipating an onside kick. They've got their hands team on the field. But Myers kicks it away. And McKenzie from his own 2. McKenzie cut back at the 30 and tackled at the 35-yard line. Nice game today for Isaiah McKenzie, a return of 34 yards. Saturday, the SEC on CBS brings you the best game from the best conference when Missouri battles Tennessee. Today kicks off with college football today at 3 Eastern right here on CBS. 6:24 to go, third quarter. Matt Barkley trying to help stop the have the Bills stop a 4-game losing streak. And McCoy gets 2. Barkley, the 4th different starting quarterback this year for the Bills. They drafted Josh Allen, number 7. Thought A.J. McCarron might be able to help him out earlier in the year, but then they traded him at the end of the preseason to Oakland. That led the way for Peterman to start week 1. Did not go well. They signed Derek Anderson. They thought maybe he could just add some knowledge to that quarterback room, but then they needed him to play with Peterman's struggles. And now Barkley brought in 12 days ago, and he's starting today. And completing one to Zay Jones for a Buffalo first down. Pickup of 12 for Zay Jones, second year out of East Carolina.
It was interesting. Coming into this ball game today, the Buffalo Bills quarterbacks had been sacked 21 times. The Jets defense had sacked the quarterback 21 times, but we haven't seen that pass rush pressure on Matt Barkley today. So the offensive line for the Buffalo Bills did an outstanding job in their pass protection.
Barkley to Logan Thomas, and Thomas with a flag down, tackled by Darren Lee. Thomas completed the fake punt pass back in the first quarter. And here's Ron Torbert.
Illegal block on the back. Offense, number 79. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Let's go down to the field and Jay Feely.
Well, James, you were talking about this offense, how effective they've been. Remember, Wyatt Teller, having his first start, has played very well. Had a couple of pancakes. You guys have highlighted him a number of times. And, you know, that's part of the change there that they're seeing. They're going to play young players and see what they have going forward.
James had a couple of pancakes at breakfast this morning. Teller, just his second game. He was inactive the entire year until last week. And that pass deflected and incomplete. Jamal Adams got a hand on it for the Jets. But going back to the young players, as Sean McDermott told us last night, look, we're 2-7. It's important we build our team, and we do it with those young guys getting experience. He said, I might lose some sleep the rest of the season, but our young guys need to play, and I'm excited to see them grow. And then we met with Kyle Williams last night, and we asked him, tough spot for him, 35 years old, coming back, and he said, look, I know I might not be here when Josh Allen is rolling and we're at our peak, but even if I can plant some little trees that help us for the future, I'm happy to do that here now in my 13th year. As McCoy is shoved out of bounds by Adams.
And Adams is about as fired up as you can get. Had his hand on the last pass. And at the end of the first drive where they forced the Buffalo Bills to punt when they came out for the second half, he's encouraging the crowd, encouraging his sideline. So there's no quit in the guy who's your best defensive player, a guy who's your leader on that side of the ball. You don't know what's going to happen, the next 19 minutes of this game. But for Jamal Adams, you play one play at a time, you throw everything that you can into it, and you see what happens at the end of the game when you got all the double zeros on the clock.
Third down and 20. Barkley deep, looking for Foster again. Foster, the adjustment and the grab, right in front of Morris Claiborne. A 43-yard pickup.
Deep ball, you throw it deep, and Foster does a great job in not getting too close to the sidelines so that when he has to come back and elevate for the ball, he goes up, he gets it at the high point. Claiborne is still on the ground looking back up at the ball.
Foster now has 3 catches for 105 yards.
180!
And that is noteworthy because the Bills had got 19 straight games since their last 100-yard receiver. It was the longest active streak in the NFL. Feels like it. It was actually Deontay Thompson last October against Tampa Bay. First time since then they've had a 100-yard receiver.
And, you know, we're talking about Foster. He had 2 catches for 30 yards in a game earlier in the season. But when you're on the practice squad, you're working hard every day. Coaches notice that. Like you say, young players getting a chance to play late in the season.
McCoy down at the 12. Mike Pennell on the tackle as we approach 2:40 to go, third quarter. You know, we met with Matt Barkley last night. You know, how crazy is this that, you know, you were throwing to guys in California a couple weeks ago. Now you're starting an NFL game, and he kind of didn't flinch. He said, you know what, I've learned anything can happen in the NFL. He said, I know it's not normal, but it's also not unexpected. He seemed like this all just made sense for him to start today, and he certainly played that way. So he's got the Bills knocking on the door once again. 3rd and 4. Barkley, Jones with a spin and a first down. Zay Jones today has a career high in both catches and yards. He's got 7 catches now today. And that last grab moves him to 85 yards receiving. It's 1st and goal.
You know, so much was expected out of Zay Jones when he came out of East Carolina. Had set NC2A receiving records, and just a slow start to his career. But at some point, kind of this talent is catching up to the potential.
Barkley fakes the pitch, rolling right. Barkley surveying the scene, fires incomplete. He was chased by Brandon Copeland, and it's 2nd and goal.
That's a throw out of the pocket, late to your first read. You want to throw this ball high, out of the end zone, and allow your team to get the 2nd down. Maybe you're a little greedy at this point. Like you said, he's been throwing, you know, at the park with these former NFL players. They have a receiver coach out there, quarterback guru coach. At some point, you have to remember what it's like to be in a game situation. That throw, a little bit ill-advised, but he still gets a chance at 2nd down.
2nd and goal. Handoff, McCoy. McCoy taken down by Williamson. Nice play by the Jets' leading tackler, Avery Williamson, a loss of 4.
So now the Buffalo Bills under a little bit of pressure. This drive down the field had seemed so seamless. You get the big play to Foster, then you got to pass to Zay Jones, and you know you're inside the 5-yard line. Now it's a little different. 3rd and goal from the 8. Probably got to throw a ball into the end zone. You go with an empty backfield. You've got Terrell Pryor, one-on-one, big target up at the top.
And Benjamin with his size at the bottom of your screen. Let's see if Barkley throws it his way. Looking that way. Good coverage down to the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Zay Jones! What a day for Jones! His 2nd touchdown of the season.
And that was a bullet throw by Barkley. He gets that ball out, and it's in the seam in between defenders, and he's probably looking and going, okay, I kind of remember what everybody's doing on this route. Maybe I don't, but as soon as he saw Zay Jones open, he was able to give him that ball in a hurry.
On that drive, the Bills were 3 for 3 on 3rd downs. And there's an injured Buffalo lineman. It's John Miller, the right guard, who's hobbling off the field. Bills do have a bye next week before welcoming Jacksonville. Miller was a 3rd-round pick out of Louisville. And Matt Barkley, all smiles on that Buffalo bench, his 2nd touchdown pass of the day.
Remember, the Bills had come into this game having thrown 3 touchdown passes for the entire season.
Extra point by Hauschka is good. And after the Jets touchdown, the Bills answer. It was the big play by Foster. And then it was capped off by Barkley to Zay Jones, 38-10 in favor of Buffalo.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Gain. Seriously good scent. And by Subway. Make it what you want.
This morning we were out at the tailgate of Ken Johnson, the man in the middle there, known as Pinto Kenny, huge Bills fan. This is his 400th consecutive Bills game. That includes home, away, playoffs, every game. 400 straight here today against the Jets. That is some streak. How about the Bills defense today, James Lofton?
You've seen these playmakers. You saw most of them last season when they were an opportunistic team, getting a lot of takeaways, doing all the things that great young defenses do, and they've been able to get back to that standard today, pressure on the quarterback. And that interception by Matt Milano on the deep ball was as fine an interception as you'll see a lot of great cornerbacks coming up with.
First down and 10. McCown to Herndon. Edmonds right there. Ten seconds to go. That should be the final play of the third quarter. McCown 12 out of 22, 107 yards and an interception. 38-10 Bills. Will be back to the Meadowlands after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Start of the fourth quarter here at the Meadowlands with our producer Jason Ross, director Andy Goldberg, James Lofton, Jay Feely, our entire crew. I'm Andrew Catalan. 38-10 Buffalo, a stunner out here today. As Josh McCown in the shotgun on second down and 9. And that pass deflected by Shaq Lawson. It's happened a number of times to McCown today.
You've got to coordinate between your offensive line, the pass drop, how quickly the ball is coming out. When you're trying to get those quick slants, you have to get the hands down of the defenders, and you're not going to get the hands down if you're pushing them up on the chest. You've got to go down, block them right in the thighs so that they go down and cover up those thighs so you can't block at the knees.
Some frustration there from Quincy Enunwa as it sets up third down and 9. McCown threw it behind Jermaine Kearse. Incomplete, fourth down, and the Jets will punt.
You know, we talked about McCown coming in. He'd been the guy who had been tutoring Sam Darnold. So every time Darnold came to the sideline with an issue, they'd go to the tablets. He'd show him, should have thrown it here, read the coverage like this. It's a different ball game when you're out there and you're having to get it done under pressure.
Punt number 6 for Edwards. Short, wobbly punt out of bounds near the 40-yard line. Not a good one from Lachlan Edwards. Now CBS is home to Super Bowl 53 coming up in February. This stadium hosted the Super Bowl 5 seasons ago. The Seahawks against the Broncos. #1 defense against the #1 offense. First play from scrimmage, a safety. And Seattle poured it on from there. Percy Harvin, a kickoff return for a touchdown. Seahawks dominated 43-8.
I don't want to name drop, but when Peyton Manning walked up to the line of scrimmage to call that play, I was standing right there next to Kevin Costner. We were on the 9 and 10 yard line.
Wow.
And, yeah.
I was not expecting that.
You know, I know some people.
It was a 30-yard punt by Edwards. Now Murphy. Bills doing this today on the ground with only 2 running backs, Marcus Murphy and LaShawn McCoy. Chris Ivory inactive today with a shoulder injury. And they've rushed for 170 yards with 2 running backs.
And
There's Ivory.
you and I had the conversation before the game. We said, well, what would happen if McCoy got nicked up a little bit or Murphy got nicked up? And then we said, DeMarco, he'd get back there and he'd assume the tailback position. He's in a fullback right here, but pretty sure he could tell the coach, his running back coach, Kelly Skipper, I can run all those plays at halfback.
Murphy again. DeMarco in his career, now in his 7th season, has carried the ball a total of 3 times. I think the Bills are hoping that Murphy and McCoy stay healthy. Nothing against Patrick. He's a tremendous fullback, but that's just not his forte. He's a Pro Bowler in 2015 with the Falcons.
And it's funny because he has more career receptions than, like you said, he does with the 3 carries that he's had during the course of his career. But, you know, he can probably describe in every step each one of those 3 carries that he's had throughout his 7-year career.
So it's a 3rd and 2 for the Bills. They got to get to midfield to pick up the first down. Barkley in trouble, and he is sacked. Jamal Adams and Jordan Jenkins getting back there to combine on the sack, a loss of 8.
And sometimes the best throw that a quarterback can make is the one that he doesn't throw. They're in his face. You get a little bit of a play action, but it's just a total commitment coming off the corner there. And he's at the quarterback before he finishes his drop. So just pull that ball in, get your punter out there. Your defense is playing great already.
They share the sack, so Jenkins now has 5 sacks on the season and 1.5 for Jamal Adams. Roberts fair catch at his own 18-yard line. 12:40 to go. Bills still on top 38-10. Josh McCown, his first start of the season. Last year, his season ended in December. He broke his left hand, and at that point, he didn't know if he'd get another chance to play in the NFL. Jets brought him back. They wanted him to mentor Sam Darnold. As he hands it off to McGuire here. And as McCown told us, he did not want to play this year. He knew his role was to get Sam Darnold ready. Those two have become very close friends. They spend almost all of their time together, as McCown's family actually lives back in Charlotte, and Darnold has most of his family and friends in California. So they spent a lot of time together. McCown said, I didn't want to play, but when we pressed him, he said, yeah, I certainly didn't want my career to end on a broken left hand. However, if this is Josh McCown's final game, assuming the Jets go back to Darnold after the bye, it's also going to be a one that sticks with him for a while.
But I think when you have had a 16-year career and you move away from it years from now, bits and parts of it, you'll look at it and say, well, I was so glad I got to do what I got to do for so long.
Yeah, and as he told us, he said, at my age, every play I know could be my final play. It's good to live that way because you treasure every moment. He hasn't made up his mind about potentially playing next year, but his boys are high school age. They play football. His son Owen just led their JV team to an undefeated season, as we have an injured member of the Bills. And you wonder if McCown is just ready. It's Matt Milano, just ready to go back and watch his kids play football now at the age of 39.
You know, we saw Matt Milano try and get up after this tackle, has his head down a little bit, but you saw him try and pop up because at that point he felt like he was ready to get up. But the training staff, they're trying to figure out exactly what's wrong, take your time, because they want to evaluate you before they start to walk you off the field or if they have to call for additional assistance.
Walks off holding his left arm. What a pick that was for Bills general manager Brandon Beane. Matt Milano in the 5th round has quickly turned into a starter in his 2nd season.
And we had a head coach tell us that one of the things that they look for is they want players who can come in, play quickly, but also they want systems that allow those young players to come in and play quickly. They don't want it to be so complicated it's hard to figure out.
Enunwa on the reception, sneaks by Ryan Lewis, and Enunwa has enough for a Jets first down. Deion Lacey on the tackle. Milano today 6 tackles and the interception. And Milano into the 10. McCown to McGuire at midfield. Gets away from Edmonds. And a first down for Eli McGuire, who in his second game of the season continues to be a little bit of a spark for the Jets offensively.
He has a little bit of Shady McCoy in him. Both of them wear the same number, but there's that shake out in the field and then the acceleration, the ability to split tackles afterwards.
Pressure coming. Lawson hits McCown. He just threw that one away, but it was Shaq Lawson bearing down on Josh McCown. There was talk in the preseason, would Shaq Lawson make the Bills? First round pick, 2016. Previous regime drafted him. As Leslie Frazier told us a few weeks ago, he thought that was silly. He's still so young, obviously a first round talent. And as Sean McDermott recently said, he has been a big bright spot for us. He has done everything we've needed and continuing to make an impact here for the Buffalo defense.
And getting a chance to play with Trent Murphy being out the last 3 ball games, getting to show that impact that he can be a down after down player as opposed to just a situational pound pressure.
Hughes jumped off sides.
Offside. Defense. Number 55. 5-yard penalty. It's second down.
Players look so quick when they move and nobody else is moving. You lose that perspective when all 22 guys are moving, and you'll see a small guy who's real quick, but each and every one of these guys out here are just incredible athletes.
Enunwa again on a quick pass and maybe gets a yard. 4th catch today for Quincy Enunwa, but he's only gained 18 yards.
Give me a chance to run a route down the field as opposed to just catching something at the line of scrimmage where it becomes a tackling drill. So you don't want to exclusively run the ball, but give guys a chance to throw it down the field.
It's 3rd down. McCown intercepted. It's Micah Hyde with his first interception of the season. He had been waiting all year. Micah Hyde without a pick. He had 5 last year, and he finally has his first. 2nd pick today by Josh McCown. This one into the hands of Micah Hyde.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AARP. Take on today with AARP. Real possibilities. Verizon, the best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network. And by Kay Jewelers, for all the moments, for love, forever.
James Lofton, former Bill. Jay Feely, former Jet. Is that a missed field goal face by Jay Feely? No,
that was a chip shot field goal face right there.
What was that, Jay?
My son's kicking now. My kicking days are long gone. I'm just trying to be the best announcer I can be.
Oh.
And you are. We're happy to have you here.
But Jay, what's your distance really on game day that you could crank one through right now?
Now, I can
45 yards?
45, 50. I get warmed up, have a kicking shoe and not dress shoes on. Yeah.
Look, having spent some time with Jay, he's not worried about field goals. This guy's playing golf 6 days a week.
Yeah, I wish I was playing golf with Kyle Williams at Augusta.
Yeah, that was nice, huh? And McCoy again. Well, if you missed it earlier on CBS Sports Network, that other pregame show hosted by Adam Shine, and with our spotter, Lou McCarthy holding Feely during the report. All right, well, that was not on the air.
That's
that
in the warm-up when there's no pressure.
On air, that did not go as well, Jay.
Yeah, I was much better when I practiced. That's what happens. Age catches up with everybody, right, James?
Yes, it does. You don't want to try throwing me the ball in the parking lot right
Father
now.
Time is undefeated.
Injured Jet down on the field, and now up it's Leonard Williams. We'll be back to the Meadowlands in a moment. Leonard Williams was the injured Jet. He just walked off under his own power. Take another look at what happened to big number 92.
Yeah, you just see a bunch of bodies get thrown around, you get twisted up a little bit, end up on the wrong side of the pile. Good to see him get up, back off the field. He might have gotten hit below the belt.
Meanwhile, on the Buffalo sideline, the Bills have told us that Matt Milano is in concussion protocol. You saw him go out a few minutes ago. It's 3rd and 9 for the Bills with 8:57 to go in the fourth quarter. Barkley with time, deep over the middle, incomplete. Over the head of Terrell Pryor, who does not have a catch today, and Buffalo will punt. Barkley 15 out of 24, 232 yards and 2 touchdowns, and you give him a whole lot of credit. As he told us, he had a lot of vitamin D this week because he did not see the sun. He was in early to study up, and he was the last man to leave, trying to play catch up all week long. Even though he didn't know until yesterday that he would be the starter, he told us he prepared all week as if he would be the starting quarterback. Jets coming after it. They nearly get it. That was Neville Hewitt that came in and almost got a hand on the punt by Schmidt, which goes into the end zone. CBS's Super Bowl season continues with Game 2 of our doubleheader. First, most of you will see an NFC West clash. Seattle against the Rams. Others will see Miami take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Doubleheader day right here on CBS.
You know, this must be an interesting day for Matt Barkley, because when was the last time, we know when it was 2016, that he has had to go into the locker room at halftime, come back out, warm up. You know, when you're working out on your own, kind of set your own workout schedule. And when you're working out in Southern California, you've got on shorts and a T-shirt.
McGuire reversing field, and Lawson wraps him up. And not only that for Barkley, but he was rehabbing an injury as well, MCL, in the preseason. NFL Today update, JB and Coach Cowher.
Pats failed 4th down conversion.
Yeah, at least this Derrick Henry 10-yard run, and Tennessee has 17 unanswered points scored. They lead 34-10 over New England.
Back to Andrew Catalon.
Wow, big one out there for the Titans. Our crew will see them next week against the Indianapolis Colts. McCown's pass incomplete. It'll be 3rd down and 8 with 8:17 to go. Today, the Jets are 1 for 10 on 3rd downs. Last week, they were 2 for 13. McCown to Enunwa, out of bounds, incomplete. Another failed attempt to convert on 3rd down, and McCown was under pressure.
Kyle Williams with that relentless pressure right up the middle. He's just going to push, push, push until he can't push anymore. And he ends up being part of the disruption there.
Seventh punt today for Edwards with McKenzie, the deep man. Another one off the side of Edwards' foot, and it bounces back and takes a Buffalo hop. That's a 26-yard punt for Lachlan Edwards. Meanwhile, Matt Barkley, what a day for him. His first start in 2 years.
And that very first play of the game, you asked him how he was going to sleep at night. Because when he left our meeting and he went to the meeting with the quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator, they said, here are the first 15. We're going deep on the first play of the game. And now you're thinking, oh, we're going deep, we're going deep. I hope I get the matchup. I hope they're not in quarters. I hope they're not in too deep. Had what he wanted. Been on fire since then.
Pitches into McCoy following the block of Deion Dawkins. And 4 for McCoy as we go down to Jay Feely.
Andrew, watching Matt Barkley, I was shocked at how loose and having fun and dancing around. In fact, Shady McCoy looked at me one time and kind of shrugged when he looked at Matt Barkley dancing around in the first half. But he's come out here like he's been out here every single day, just coming out, letting it rip, and played really well today.
And there was a little familiarity. Barkley and McCoy were teammates in Philadelphia, and also an assistant coach at that time on the offensive side of the ball. Shea Tierney in Philadelphia is now an offensive assistant on this Buffalo staff. Barkley and Shea Tierney kept in close touch, and as Barkley told us, it was instrumental to have a guy on the offensive side of the staff that he felt so comfortable with this week. He said he was, quote, instrumental in helping him learn the game plan to attack the Jets. Barkley said it was too late in the week when he found out to get his wife and kids to come out to from California to the game, but his parents, Bev and Les, did fly out from California. Did a little sightseeing in New York yesterday, and now watching their son tear up the Jets. Third and 4 for Buffalo. And on the handoff, how about this for McKenzie, continuing to provide a spark. Another first down for Isaiah McKenzie, a pickup of 15.
And McKenzie is so physical at the tail end of these runs. You're looking at him 5'9", 173 pounds. You think, I'm going to hit him and he's going to go down. He stays on his feet, spinning, trying to get more out of each and every play.
He ran a 4.42 at the Combine last year, a 5th-round pick by the Broncos, but Denver...
That's no big deal. I ran 4.42, but I was just at 28 yards.
Yeah, how many yards was it? Yeah. McKenzie has 3 touches for 41 yards, not including what he's done, obviously, in the return game. He's got another touch here. And tackled at the 22-yard line. Darren Lee in on the stop.
When you have had a long day on the wrong end of the scoreboard, the adrenaline that you had when you first came out of the tunnel after pregame warm-ups is totally out of your body. And as I watch the Jets, who are in and around tackles, getting up off the ground, it's moving a little more slowly than they would be if they were up by 4 or if this was a tight ball game.
It's a pitch to Murphy. Murphy inside the 20. I think one of the interesting things for the Jets after this game, obviously the talk of Todd Bowles already on the hot seat coming into the game. This is really going to hurt Bowles' future of sticking around here with the Jets, but also for the players. They've insisted all along during this losing streak they're not divided, just because the offense has struggled, the defense has said they've stuck together. You did hear a little bit out of Jamal Adams last week after the loss to Miami. Robbie Anderson said a few things, tired of losing, this has to change. Are the Jets going to stick together after this game? It should be interesting to hear the post-game comments from the Jets.
Well, when you are struggling, there's nobody else in that locker room other than the guys on the team, the coaches, the equipment staff, the guys who work in the front office. So it should be a united place. But you're right. When you're losing and you're not expecting to lose and you're coming home to play in a game where you think that you have the opponent right where you want them, and then you end up on a lopsided end of the scoreboard, it can be tough when you come in on Monday. And some of the comments that are made after the game and in the locker room today will be very interesting to hear from.
Well, Jay Feely played for the Jets and the Giants. He knows about playing in New York. And Jay, you know that the headlines and the talk radio is not going to be pretty for Todd Bowles this week.
Yeah, it's been tough. When you fail in New York, it's everywhere. When I had a bad kick with the Giants, I end up on Saturday Night Live spoofed. And you know, every paper and every news station, everyone's going to be talking about you. And on the converse side, when you win, you know, and you do something special, there's no better place in the country to play. And you know, he's going to face a lot of criticism for the way his team came out. They were flat in warm-ups. You know, they had nothing on the sideline. There was nobody. Josh McCown has been that guy on the sideline to get him going, and because he was playing quarterback, he really didn't have that role today, and it was a struggle all day.
And we met with them on Friday at their facility in Florham Park. They all talked about big division game. We don't need to be pumped up for this one. We know it's an important game. We know it's important for our coach. They have not played like that at all today in trying to help Todd Bowles stick around. Christopher Johnson, the chairman and CEO of the Jets, assumed the role when his brother Woody accepted the ambassador role for the UK. Well, him and the GM Mike Maccagnan, they'll have a lot to talk about after this one. Barkley to the end zone, and it's broken up by Morris Claiborne. 4th down, and McDermott will send out the field goal unit.
And, a little bit of an interesting decision. Do you just go for it on 4th down? Do you take a knee? Where do you feel like you're at in terms of this ball game? Because here's the ball back to the Jets. There'll be one possession to go. What do the Jets do when they come out? These are just tough situations to wade through. And, we're talking about the fate of the coach and what's going to happen. Do you want to make an in-season change? Is that something that you do as a normal course of business, or do you wait it out and let the whole 16-game season play out?
Field goal good by Hauschka, makes it 41-10. Don't forget, stay tuned for the NFL Today update delivered by Pizza Hut, time permitting. Join JB, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights.
It's so tough because so much of football is a singular focus where you're focused on that week, that opponent, the next play, all of that, to kind of get a longer perspective and to think about, okay, what does this entire season mean to us when we're only wrapping up week 10?
First time in 2 years the Bills have had a 40-point performance. Tomlinson on the return. Well, early on, you could tell the Bills were going to take some chances. That fake punt in the first quarter. Logan Thomas, former quarterback, completing it to Robert Foster as we check in with Jay Feely.
Happens, Andrew. They had to practice that throughout the week, the last 3 weeks. They put Logan Thomas at PP a couple times and had him in there where he doesn't run a fake, so that now when you want to run the fake, teams aren't alerted that you're bringing in a former quarterback, and something that Danny Crossman had been working on and executed perfectly.
And I think for Logan Thomas, that might have been the tightest spiral of the day. He's going to go back and he's going to bring Matt Barkley into the room and say, Matt, this is the way that you want to hold the ball and throw it. Look at how I did it.
Second down and 7. And Cannon to the 40. And that should take us to the 2-minute warning. Nice to see our production manager, Andres Torres, at the Meadowlands today. 2 minutes to go.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Jaguar, the art of performance. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
2 minutes to go here at the Meadowlands, 41-10 in favor of the Bills. I do want to correct one thing I said. I said Brandon Beane drafted Matt Milano last year, but Beane actually came in after that draft. But Milano has certainly turned into a big player under the direction of Sean McDermott and defensive coordinator Leslie Frazier.
Well, Brandon Beane will be the guy who signs him to the big contract extension. That's the way he's playing.
3rd and 2. Cannon going the wrong way. And he doesn't get the first down. Three-yard loss for the Jets. It brings up 4th down and 5. And yes, the offense is still on the field.
If you punt it to them, they're just going to catch it and kneel down afterwards. So might as well give your guys a chance to run another play. Some of these young players in there, see what they can do, and another carry before you're running back.
McCown over the middle, juggled and dropped. Cannon had it, lost it, and a turnover on downs, and that'll do it. What a performance by this Buffalo defense today. And another thing about Buffalo, their offensive line did a remarkable job today as well.
I think that as they take the short flight back to Buffalo, that on that plane, there's not a unit on the team that didn't perform well. Special teams, defense, offense, secondary, offensive line, receivers, running backs. Everybody had a hand in it. And look at what Foster did and LaShawn McCoy did, a 100-yard receiver and a 100-yard rusher. That had not been the case for the first part of the season.
The Bills can just run this one out. The executive producers of the NFL on CBS are Sean McManus and Harold Bryant. The president of CBS Sports is David Burson. Today's game was produced by Jason Ross, directed by Andy Goldberg. The vice president of remote production of CBS Sports is Steve Karasik. The vice president of studio production for CBS Sports is Tyler Hale. The NFL Today is produced by Drew Kaliski, directed by Bob Mattina. The creative director of CBS Sports is Peter Radovich Jr. The associate directors of today's games are Kamani Morales and George the Biscuit Wishart. The broadcast associates, Jelani Rooks and Michael Milstein, making his NFL debut. The technical manager, the great Dean Walker. The technical director, Tom Kautz. Audio supervisor, Patrick Evil Thornton, and Victor Victoria with a big assist from him as well. Stats provided by the one, the only, Michael Notaro, and Chad Fisher. And our spotter, who got way too much attention today, is John McCarthy. The Bills stop a 4-game losing streak in a big way. A 41-10 victory over the Jets. New York has now lost 4 in a row, and you have to wonder in a big way about the future of Todd Bowles. Jets have a bye coming up. Do they make a change here? Do they wait till the end of the season? Todd Bowles and the Jets now 3-7 going into their bye week. Look at the updated standings in the AFC East with New England in trouble today. Miami about to play Green Bay as part of our CBS doubleheader. And now Buffalo and the Jets tied at 3-7. They will meet again in Buffalo on December 9th. Sam Darnold, Matt Barkley, 2 former USC quarterbacks sharing a hug as we are done here at the Meadowlands. 41-10 Bills. For James Lofton and Jay Feely, this is Andrew Catalon saying so long. Coming up, the NFL Today update delivered by Pizza Hut. We'll take you to New York for all the scores and highlights right after this.